Well, the Arizona Cardinals decided to release DeAndre Hopkins today to the surprise of many. So let's talk about it. But first, how about those? That's right, the Cardinals themselves were the first to announce a bit ago on Twitter that they released wide receiver DeAndre Hopkins, and then pandemonium, chaos, whatever word you want to coin instantly ensued, because with DeAndre Hopkins being released, it means teams can literally begin to negotiate with him today. And the crazy part about this is the Cardinals opted to release Hopkins prior to June 1st and eat $22.6 million in dead cap. Good God almighty. But for what it's worth, they do clear $7.38 million in cap space, and because Hopkins didn't have any guaranteed money left on his deal, Arizona will also save $19.45 million in cash in 2023. Still though, that's a lot of freaking money to eat, but I do not care about the Cardinals organization whatsoever, and that dumpster fire can continue to burn for decades for all I care. Anyway, as of when I'm recording this video, it's around 1:45 p.m. Central. He is free to sign with any team, and the question is, where will he go? Hop has already made it known that he'd love to play for a team that has stable management, a great defense, and a QB who loves the game, and the Chiefs have all of that. Maybe one of the most stable management in the entire league. I think this is quite possibly going to be the best defense Patrick Mahomes has ever seen during his time in the NFL, which has been for one team, the Chiefs. And of course, Patrick Mahomes loves the game. Anyway, on a recent podcast, the I Am Athlete podcast, DeAndre Hopkins listed 5 QBs he'd most like to catch passes from as Josh Allen and Jalen Hurts. He said them first. Then he said Patrick Mahomes, obviously. Then Lamar Jackson. And finally, Justin Herbert. So which will it be? We'll find out soon, but let's dig in a little bit here. There was a lot of excitement around Chiefs Kingdom when this announcement happened. Charles Omenihu himself, the defensive end for the Kansas City Chiefs, said, "You're free now, come to the kingdom," and tagged DeAndre Hopkins. Safety Justin Reed said, "Come win a ring in KC, bro." Jeff Darlington said, "Totally speculative, but a short-term deal with the Chiefs would make so much sense to me. The fact Hopkins is available via free agency shows you his value needs to be improved. Nowhere better to do it right now than KC. It's a win-win." Matt Miller quoted a classic song by Wilbert Harrison called Kansas City with lyrics that go, "I'm going to Kansas City, here I come." So yes, all of that is very exciting, and I personally would love to see DeAndre Hopkins come to Kansas City. I mean, why the heck not? And before any of you bring this up in the comments, I know I've been a bit hesitant about him before, naming his age. He turns 31 June 6th. His recent injury history, he had knee surgery at the end of 2021, I believe it was, and then last season reportedly re-aggravated the same knee. But my biggest hang-up with the D-Hop talk was the thought of giving up draft capital for him and taking on his current contract, which is gone now. However, I warmed up more to the idea in the last 6 to 8 weeks or so, because if he was released, it definitely makes more sense for the Chiefs to pursue him a bit more aggressively, and I think he would be a great fit for the wide receiver room that some people are already questioning as it is right now. Not everybody, but some. And with D-Hop officially getting released today, I like that a whole lot. Despite his age, he is not washed either. He played in 9 games last season and caught 64 passes for 717 yards, but in the games that he actually played with Kyler Murray at QB, who got injured only 5 games after D-Hop returned from his 6-game suspension, his stats are wild. Look at this. D-Hop played 5 games with Kyler at the helm, and in those 5 games, his numbers were this. He had 49 targets, catching 37 of them for 464 yards and 3 touchdowns. And if you average that out to a full 17 games, D-Hop's numbers could have been 125.8 receptions for 1,577.6 yards and 10.2 touchdowns. On top of that, Aaron Schatz of Football Outsiders had this to say about D-Hop, quote, "I've been playing around with a version of receiving DVOA based on routes run instead of targets. In this new version, DeAndre Hopkins has the 2nd largest improvement in DVOA, only behind Tyreek Hill. He was still excellent last year." Okay, so now that we've established that D-Hop is still a great receiver, now what? Well, I think at this point the question is, how bad does he really want to chase a ring? If he wants the greatest chance, in my opinion, he will do whatever he can to try and land with the Kansas City Chiefs. Kelce is getting older, and in theory, the Chiefs would do well to begin to somewhat offset his overall workload to preserve his longevity. Juju Smith-Schuster signed with the Patriots, and there's no clear wide receiver one, though it could be Tony as reported if he stays healthy. And the Chiefs are a team that would instantly allow D-Hop to show he still got it, and he could rebuild his stock a bit on a one-year deal while playing for the greatest QB in the game and the most winningest organization over the last 5 years. But even if he really wanted to come to KC out of every team, the Chiefs would still need to be able to afford this man. They currently have just under $3 million in cap space and would need to free up money ASAP via a Chris Jones extension or some other voodoo magic that would free up more money. Meanwhile, there are some other teams that he's expressed interest in that have more money available right now. The Bills have $3.1 million, so not that much more than the Chiefs, but they are definitely in a bit of a win now mode and could be pretty aggressive in getting another weapon for Josh Allen. But the Eagles have $14.6 million freed up right now. The Ravens have 12.3 and the Chargers have 13.3 million. And these are all teams that Hop expressed interest in potentially playing for. And I'm going to be honest, if I was DeAndre Hopkins, the Eagles would also be a pretty enticing team to play for. The NFC is definitely the less competitive conference overall. They have $14.6 million in cap space right now, and Hop has said he loves Jalen Hurts and would love to catch passes from him. Plus, they are my current favorites to make it to the Super Bowl once again from the NFC. But if it's not the Eagles, it's got to be KC. Now, here are my honest thoughts about all of this. As exciting as D-Hop is, I'm going to remain cautiously optimistic that he actually does indeed land in Kansas City and signs a contract. It would be freaking awesome to see, but remember, Odell Beckham Jr. just a little bit ago got a one-year $15 million deal worth up to $18 million with the Ravens, and D-Hop is the better receiver at this point, in my opinion, and may sign for even more somewhere else. Of course, the Chiefs could free up cap space and make it happen, as I talked about earlier, and Hop may even be willing to take quite a bit of a discount to come to Kansas City, but the Chiefs have to want him badly enough to free up cap space via whatever, a Chris Jones extension or something else. And that's where I want to ask you guys, what are your current thoughts on the Chiefs pursuing DeAndre Hopkins now that he is released and they don't have to trade for him? Also, what are the odds you think he even lands with the Kansas City Chiefs, and what would your ideal contract look like for him? I would imagine the contract is a one-year incentive-laced Brett Veach special, but I'm curious to get your thoughts on this as well. And until next time, let's go. Let's freaking go. How about those?